Welcome back, family, to another edition of the Teacher Surgery, Season 3. Thank you for all your continued support. We're really pleased that our contribution is making an impact in the community. And thank you for engaging with us on our social medias. We have had so many questions come in from parents and teachers, from young people as well, which is amazing. So I won't waste any time. So I'm going to jump in and hand over to our esteemed panel of teaching professionals, Hakeem, Nyasha, and Amber.
Thank you.
Hello,
Nice
welcome back. It's always nice to see you. And Amber, thank you, in chartreuse. Amber, welcome back after the baby.
I know.
Boy, girl.
Little girl.
Oh, congratulations. We've got a young teacher surgery. We're growing the family. We're growing, expanding the family. Guys, we've had a question come in. Which I think is really an important question and something to ask in terms of like the current climate where we are. 500,000 children a year suffer abuse in the UK, which is a staggering amount of young people.
Yeah.
Why do you think this is happening? Hakeem, can I go over to you to start this question off for us?
Sure. It's a very worrying statistic, first off, to state. But I think looking at it holistically, I think the whole problem, I suppose, has been made worse since COVID.
Sure.
I would imagine. The systemic and cultural deprivations that have happened throughout our society on all levels would have led to an effect on our young people.
Sure.
I think the threshold for meeting need due to services being so stretched will mean that people will be slipping in the gaps and will be missed. Again, lack of funding, lack of opportunity. I also feel that there's a new criteria. Maybe criteria is the wrong word, but for example, I look on peer abuse, and the levels of reporting that has now received. You know, we look at social media, we look at county lines.
Yeah.
This is young people abusing young people, you know.
Risky friend groups as well, isn't it? As well,
and we haven't even got onto sexual exploitation. So, unfortunately, it doesn't surprise me that those numbers are rising. I would actually say that it's probably a lot more hidden.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
That we're not seeing. Right. So, it's a sad indictment, really.
Yeah.
Nyasha, Amber, have you got some thoughts?
I mean, Hakeem's, touched on quite a lot of the things, but I think just looking at the pressures, the pressures of life, and sometimes some parents go in and become parents without really knowing and understanding what being a parent is. Sometimes people can be, I've read of cases where some parents choose, they bring in this man in their life who's a stepfather, and he is the one that's abusing the child. And because they're so desperate to have a man in their life, they kind of allow certain things to happen. And we've read in quite a few reports of late where young children have been killed by the stepfathers.
Or stepmothers as well.
Stepmothers as well. That case, there was a case, I think it was 2 years ago, where it was horrific abuse that we actually all witnessed on the news, where this child the stepmother was abusing, it was both of them that were abusing this particular child until the child died. And you actually see the video where the child has not been fed, and eventually they were arrested, etc., and they had a very big sentence because of the abuse. So I think there are a lot of issues, even relating to drugs. Some parents are on drugs. Just the whole idea, neglect as well, and understanding what neglect is. Because if you've been neglected as a parent, then it's passed down to you, And again, we talked about mental health, but there's a massive increase of mental health within society, and so we've got parents who've got mental health raising children in environments that are toxic, environments that are, obviously, negative and violent and so forth. So I think there's quite a pressure. I've been dealing with a number of students and looking at some of their cases of abuse, and it's horrendous when you actually read, children and what they're going through.
Can I ask you, how do we safeguard? There's safeguarding policies and procedures that you guys will have at school. And so, what are we doing if these things are flagged in school? If someone discloses that in school,
Yeah, well,
how do what's the procedure? What do we do?
in our school, we have an online system called CPOMS. And what happens is if you observe something that seems out of the ordinary for a child, maybe it might be they have some scars on them, or their clothes are dirty, or they look like
Some
they've not
visible
been
signs of
eating, there's
neglect, yeah.
signs, or they might have flashy new trainers or some stylish clothes that you wouldn't expect them to have. So you have to know the children as
Yeah,
a
that's
parent,
right.
as a
Yeah.
teacher. You can't just be that person who's there doing the register. Okay, go to lesson.
Sure.
You're more than that. Your role is bigger than that.
Yeah.
So in order to save these children, you have to be more vigilant. You have to be observing all the time these areas, and then reporting it to CPOMs, where you might have a DSL team that will be the leaders of safeguarding, and they would actually be the ones that will support in ensuring that the children are getting the best care. It might be with a solicitor, it might be family planning, somebody goes to the family. It might be just having well-being checkups, or talking to the child on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, depends on the
some
child.
children- I mean, some children as well, they feel they're such in fear of what's going on at home, their parents, that they can't even speak out. So it is important that as a teacher, you recognise, you look at a child and you recognise where, these are signs of abuse. And I think also because things are moving in terms of, people's culture before, certain families would be used to, we make jokes about people getting licked or beaten
With a belt.
with a belt, and beaten with frying pan, beaten with a tennis racket, all of this kind of stuff. And people laugh about it, but that's actual abuse. If you've lost your temper so badly that you're having to beat this child with a bottle or beat a child with a belt, you are abusing your child. And I think it's important that parents recognise there are other ways to discipline, your child. So I think, and I think, engaging as well, engaging with parents, because some parents, that's all they've ever known.
Yeah.
And they've grown up being beaten, and then they do the same to their child, and it's repetitive, but it is actually
abuse. Yeah.
And you saying that, it just hits the nail on the head of mental health.
Yeah.
Because, I can't remember where I read it, but actually 14-year-olds, that's the largest, 50% of 14-year-olds in the whole of, I think it's UK, actually suffer from mental health.
Wow, that's a staggering statistic.
Yeah.
50%.
Yeah.
And then when you think about the other percentage, the other 50, why did they have it? Where did it start from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been from what you've just said.
I think it's very important to recognise abuse. Like I said, a lot of people take the mick and think it's something funny. It's the stories that people say, this happened to them, and you actually listen and you think, hold on a minute, your parent was. This is a bit extreme. And I remember one case of a student that was in a school that both Hakeem and I worked at, and that student, the father thought, as a form of discipline, he would use Scotch bonnet peppers and shove it, in his backside as a form of punishment.
What did you say?
Yeah.
Shove it where?
Yeah, in his backside as a form of punishment to make. I don't know why he would think that would be discipline. And I mean, that's where
It's awful.
if you think
That's
that's appropriate, then there's obviously there's
There's
other
some
deeper
things
issues,
that
and
are
maybe
happening.
you have actually been abused.
But with you saying that,
Yeah.
That's why, the teacher surgery is a beautiful thing, because as far as I'm concerned, we're trying to save lives.
Yes.
So
right.
when we're talking here, like, I cannot stress it enough. Teachers need to do more than just teach.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
It's not you just go in a classroom, you deliver the lesson, you walk out. It's not, but he has a tutor group, she has a tutor, sorry.
that can pick it up.
That can pick it up. What are you doing? This is an innocent child. Even if the child isn't even innocent and they're a rebel,
Yeah.
they're still a person,
They're
a child.
still an innocent child, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's really important about safeguarding them, picking up on the
The
signs.
nuances of it, yeah.
And those children sometimes, if they've been abused like that, or they then go on to be an abuser.
It's just passing on the generational
and then they
trauma,
or they
isn't
go
it?
on to be abused again in another relationship.
Yeah.
You know how I've just been saying, pick up the signs, pick up the signs. Sometimes there aren't any signs. So it's not even just picking up the signs. Do you talk to your children in a classroom? Do you actually spend quality time with them? Do you find out what's going on in their weekend, or what they've got up to, or what they like doing, for you to build that bond, that relationship
with
where
them.
they will feel comfortable to tell you, look, I need help. I'm dying inside. Because some of them literally are dying inside. I can't, it makes me feel like I've done my, results are results. But when a child sends me an email and says, Miss, when I was at so-and-so school, you were always there doing this, always doing that. It touches me. It makes me, it just gives me the energy, the boost to keep doing what
going,
I'm doing. Yeah, because I know that I've
making a
saved,
difference.
it's making a difference.
Guys, thank you. I think when I always say this, we could go on and on about this topic. And I think like you've shared some powerful stories, but actually I think that this is such a powerful, impactful topic as well. And the work that you guys are doing in school, like picking this up, identifying this, actually.
It's quite it's a deep topic, and it's quite horrible to kind of talk about, because
and it's quite hard to condense it in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for sharing your knowledge and sharing all the good the stuff that you're doing in school as well to support our young people. Hakeem.
Oh, hello.
Hi. He's woken up.
Hello. I was chilling over here, relaxing. Okay.
Hakeem, we've had a question come in for you. Okay, let's do this. Does not having a father at home affects a child's education?
Does not having a father at home
affects a child's education?
Okay, this is...
Another deep one.
Do you know what? It is really deep, because there is a real dichotomy to the question for me personally. So I grew up without a father in the household, in a city council estate flat with my mum and my brother in one of the most notoriously deprived boroughs in London. And I made it out.
And you're brilliant.
and
it was due to my mother.
Yeah.
There was we didn't have a stepdad or anything like that. So there was no male influence in the house. It was literally down to my mother.
Yeah.
So I hear that question and I say, does not having a father affect a child's outcome? And the answer is yes, but it can be both negatively and positively.
Sure.
Yeah? Yes. There are amazing parents women working by themselves to raise families and doing a magnificently outstanding job. But I also do think that a father's role is crucial and integral. Now, why do I think this? As a father myself, I look at the impact a father can have in the early years. There are studies that have shown that if a father can be a co-caregiver, so that means you're helping, and ladies, just you have to say helping with the feeding and changing. I'm not saying we're doing it all, but we're contributing, supporting
role, right? Yeah.
If a father can get involved in those early years, from birth to 3 months, the next step to then doing those early learning, early literacy with the child, doing letters, doing phonics, is a natural phenomenon.
Progression.
Yeah, so you're not being asked to step in and do something. It's something you've done moving through. A study was done, I believe, in South Lanarkshire that said as 177, and believe me, if I'm paraphrasing, if I'm wrong, I apologise, but the percentages were well over the 70s in terms of who engaged with their child, who wanted to go to parents' evening, who wanted to, and this is separate from mothers. We're talking the 70s and 80s percentile of fathers saying, yes, I do this often, or I do this always. Now, so then what is that saying to us? It says to us that a father's role is different from a mother's, but just as crucial. It's not necessary, but it is crucial. Now, what is the benefits it does? Again, another study talked about if a father is interacting with his young person, the language is different because of the gender difference. Where a mother may emote, a father may be using big abstract language and ideas because that's how he's speaking in that sense of self. Now, neither of them are wrong, they're both good, but you're contributing a different thing to your young person's upbringing. We know statistically that young men who see aggression or violence between their parents can act that out. But we also know that an educated father puts more time and energy into ensuring that his children are educated, who then have a better outcome. So whilst I hear the importance of the question,
Yeah.
I do think it's really different. It's got a lot of what's the word I'm looking for here? There's a lot of finesse to it in the sense that
Nuances,
a
it's like
lot nuance is the
nuances.
word I'm looking for, because it can work both ways, and I would hate to condemn anyone out there who's doing it either way. As a father myself, I absolutely agree we are important and integral, but that's an individual manner to take that responsibility on. Yeah, the naval father doesn't come with the responsibility. You don't just do it. You have to take that and be that person.
Yeah.
However, I wouldn't want to denigrate a woman who's doing it on her own, like my sainted mother. I wouldn't want to denigrate them and say, yeah, you couldn't have done it without a man, or you could do it better with a man. No, I'm just saying that a man's influence, or father's influence, is also crucial. Yeah?
And you know what I want to point to? I think Clement made a point in another episode, is that actually it's about involvement.
100%.
So if parents are involved, regardless if they live in the household or not, that makes the difference. That
Further
people
to your point,
being really involved.
I'm sorry, something popped
Go
in my
on,
head.
go
They
on.
were speaking about this. So the study I was reading was talking about the McDonald's dad, as opposed to the more invested dad. So a dad is there, but all he does is he takes his kid to Mickey D's. Sorry for false advertising. Any other fast food restaurant chain also applicable. And sits there.
Or Nando's, KFC.
There you go. And sits there on his phone while the child's eating and barely interacts. As opposed to another father who may be removed from the home, but who is taking his son to football, who's taking his son to rugby, who's taking his son to acting or drama or BMXing, whatever it is, engaging on a different level rather than just passively sitting there.
Yeah.
And again, so sorry, because I'll pontificate on this for a long time if you leave me.
I know, another one. Nasha and Amber, jump in quickly. Tell us what's your thoughts.
Well, I just think I was just going to say that I think for me, having my father in my life was a very extremely positive influence, and I just feel like sometimes, especially in this climate, there's a lot of talk about men being useless and nothing. Yeah, there's a lot of degrading.
I heard that.
Who knows? Hakeem never got that message. He never got that message.
Media is like a lot of women. I can do it by myself. I don't need no man and this and that. But I think personally, for me, I think it is important that a father at least sees education as important. So they may not be in the life. They may have a different life going on. But I think when it comes to education and some decisions,
they're involved.
Especially some school choices as well.
Sure.
So,
Amber, lastly?
I think a dad should be involved. And I think it's not for one parent to decide, because you could have a negative effect on that child's life, the choices that they make, the decisions they make. I think when you're deciding to remove a parent from their life, you're actually creating room for problem. So I don't think it should be, your dad is not coming, I'm not involving him. No, let that child see their dad. Let that child make the decision for themselves. If anything, you're a facilitator in their relationship. You're supposed to be helping bring them together, not breaking them down. Same with mothers as well. I think at the end of the day, we all grow up and we all see and we all analyze and make our own understanding of what we've been shown, So I think it's important that for the younger generation, we shouldn't take that away from them. Oh, your dad is not involved, or your mum is not involved. If anything, they should be effective parents in order to make better children, or you know what I mean? Better. Hey, yeah, I can't think of better choices.
Yeah, so I think we agree. Like, even if a father is not at home, if they're involved, they should be actively involved, participating in a child's life. That's where they make the difference.
100%.
Awesome. Guys, always best, great conversation and like great advice and just really lovely space to share that knowledge. And I agree with you. This is why the teacher surgery is so important, that we need it, and we need to have that space where we can facilitate that conversation. So thank you so much. Thanks.
Pleasure.
Guys, that's the end. That's the end of this episode. And thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, follow, share, tell a friend, tell a friend. I'm doing this. Someone's going to say, you're making noise on the mic, Kelly. Sorry, I'll just put my hands down. But please do like, share, tell a friend. I think this is really important conversation we're having. And remember, as always, we're learning together. This is a space where we're having real and relatable conversation. So thank you. And we'll see you in the next episode.